Hi, this video is all about worship. Holy Spirit started to teach me that living in obedience is an act of worship to God. This is my first response when I received the gift of salvation. So worship and obedience cannot be separated, and it must be my lifestyle. Worship is an internal transformation that happens by the power of the Holy Spirit, where He started to refine and align my heart with the Father's heart, so that I can worship God in spirit and truth. That's why in Matthew chapter 15 verse 8 says, Jesus said these words, "People honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far away." I cannot praise and worship God when I'm living in a disobedient life. Living in obedience is what God says who I am. This is what He has purchased for me and predestined for me to live unblemished, holy, pure, and submit my body as a living sacrifice. But it's my responsibility to live each and every day honoring and pleasing God. That will become a true worship. So Romans chapter 12 verse 1 says, "I urge you, brothers and sisters, because of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship." So it clearly says that living in obedience and living in sexual purity is important to God, and I cannot please God and I cannot offer a true worship if I'm living in impurity. When I think of Jesus, He came down from heaven just for us, so that He can reconcile us to the Father and give us a new life, a better life, beautiful life for us, to live in that fellowship and that friendship with God. When I think of the excruciating pain that He has went through, which I cannot fathom and I cannot explain, I cannot even understand, and when I look back and think what Jesus has done in my life and how He has protected, how He has saved me, and I want to choose God's side each and every day, because I do not want to hurt Him and I do not want to make Him sad or upset or grieve because of my behaviors. We all know the story of Samaritan woman. Jesus chose to go to Samaria to set this woman free because He saw his disobedient living. During the conversation where Jesus says, "God is spirit, for those who worship the Father must worship in spirit and truth." Other words, if we are not living in spirit and truth, we cannot worship the Father with the spirit and truth, because my heart is full of deception. That's why I choose to live in disobedience. It's important that we study the Bible every day and we cultivate an intimate personal relationship with the Holy Spirit, so where He can teach us and we give Him permission and allow Him to teach us and align our hearts and our ways to Father's ways. And we need to allow Him to possess us. So how can I allow Him to possess the Holy Spirit? 100% submission to His ways. And tell Him that, "Holy Spirit, come, have your way in me," and not resisting His ways. So in Amos chapter 5 verses 23 onwards, God says to us about worship, "I don't want your song, I don't want your music, I don't want your instruments, take everything away from me. What I want is the true righteousness that flow from your heart, so that you can lift up your voices in true worship to me." So it clearly says that worship is not about music, it's not about my song, it's not about my voice or my platform or how well I play the instrument, and how I live my life in obedience and submission to God's ways. This is the true worship to God, because I'm choosing to live my life in spirit and truth, so that I can lift up my voices to the Father in spirit and truth. This is true worship.